Am I the a-hole for punishing my foster daughter for telling the authorities my 12-year-old daughter was taking drugs? I, 34 female, have been looking after my foster daughter, Mary, 13 female, for over a year, ever since her parents overdosed on drugs. I also have a biological daughter, Lila, 12 female. Mary and Lila mostly get along, although there have been some minor arguments. A few weeks ago, the police came to Lila's school. Someone had sent an anonymous message to the school saying that Lila was in possession of drugs. After searching through her phone, locker, and bags, they realized that the drugs in question were Skittles that Lila had lying around in her bag, accidentally ripping open the packaging. Lila was terrified of the police and was traumatized by the incident. She's a very shy, quiet girl who had a panic attack at the thought of being sent to prison. While they wouldn't reveal who told on her, Lila suspected that it was Mary since she was the only one who could have seen the Skittles in her bag. Mary denied this at first, but eventually she snapped under pressure and admitted it. She said she made a mistake and was scared that Lila would overdose like her parents. I know that Mary has trauma related to drugs, but that's not an excuse. I've made it very clear that she can come talk to me about anything, even if it involves Lila, and yet she went to the school instead of telling me first. Mary said that she only went to the school in case I was biased towards Lila. She knew full well the legal ramifications of her actions. Both of them could have potentially been removed from my care. I can't help but think her intentions are malicious. Skittles look absolutely nothing like drugs. She didn't even talk to me or Lila about it. She just went straight to the authorities. So I decided to ground her, stop her allowance, increase her chores, and take away her electronics for the entire summer. She's still upset with me for this, saying I went too far, and I was punishing her for having trauma and trying to do the right thing. But I feel like I have a duty to teach her that it's not okay to potentially get our entire family into legal trouble over a misunderstanding. Am I the a-hole? Edit. The reason I thought she had malicious intentions was because the week before, Mary, coincidentally, started a large argument with Lila for hanging out with Mary's crush. Lila eats candy all the time, especially Skittles, and Mary knows that Skittles are her favorite. Some of OP's comments. Commenter, just FYI drugs. One example, fentanyl, come in many variations that look exactly like candy. Just throwing that out there. OP. I know that there are some drugs that resemble candy, but I've never heard of drugs that look like Skittles. Even those candy fentanyl drugs are pastel-colored, not brightly colored like Skittles. Commenter. What would motivate her to be malicious? You stated that they get along fine and only argue occasionally, which is very normal for kids. OP. The week before the whole drugs incident, they got into an argument because Lila was hanging out with Mary's crush, although Mary swears this was just a coincidence. Lila eats candy all the time, and Skittles are her favorite, and Mary knows this full well. Top comment, Willikersmister. I'm tempted to say YTA, bordering on NAH. I think that Mary's reasoning is fairly sound. She's a kid who's deeply traumatized by experiences in her own life with people using drugs. And it's very, very hard for a 13-year-old to conceptualize the repercussions for something like this. If she was acting out of malice, that's one thing, but I think it's pretty hard for anyone online to be able to say if that's the case. That said, I do think your punishment is extreme. I think this is a great opportunity to have more heart-to-hearts with Mary and help her learn how serious this could have been. Is she already in therapy? I assume she must be as a foster child with her history, but if not, she absolutely should be. Additionally, if Mary was exacting out of jealousy or some other feelings around your bio daughter, layering on punishments may just make that separation worse. Do they generally get along well? Are they close or more distant? Mary is going through an immense amount of loss and change, and her feelings toward your daughter are likely very complicated even if they're generally close and friends. I think it would be reasonable to lighten up your punishments while also checking in with her more regularly and emphasizing the seriousness of the situation. Depending on the quality of your caseworkers, you may want to discuss with them as well. For some reason, there was no verdict on this post, but responses were heavily mixed. Update. After receiving thousands upon thousands of comments, I would like to say that I realized my mistake. I wasn't taking into account the immense amount of trauma that Mary has gone through at such a young age, and the effect it had on her actions. I had a tough, but necessary conversation with both Lila and Mary. We had a heart-to-heart so that both girls could hear from each other's perspectives. What had happened was, Mary found out that Lila had been hanging out with a boy that Lila knew was Mary's crush. This was also the 1-year anniversary of Mary's parents' overdose, and she confessed that her grief coupled with what she interpreted as Lila's betrayal influenced what happened the following week. Mary maintains that she'd mistaken the candy for drugs, but she owned up to the fact that she'd notified the teachers, not only because she was concerned for Lila's safety, but because she believed that it wasn't fair for Lila to get away unpunished for having drugs after everything that had happened to Mary's parents. I know I should have been angry at Mary, but seeing the response to my initial post has opened my eyes. I've been informed that traumatized children can lose their common sense after being exposed to triggers. I assume this applies even more when it occurs around the anniversary of their trauma, and this can lead them to make decisions that may sound outlandish in any other circumstances, decisions such as mistaking candy for drugs. Mary has had bad experiences in foster homes before. Several years before her parents' overdose, she was placed in foster care for the first time, before being reunited with her parents. She was in 3 different foster families, and in all of them, her foster parents favored their biological children, and they punished Mary if she told them about their bio children misbehaving. She was terrified that I would do the same, which is why she didn't come to me first. Mary acted out of pain, and I acted out of frustration without even hearing her side of the story. I lifted Mary's punishment. At that point, we still had nearly 3 weeks of summer break left. Lila has forgiven Mary, and we decided to put this incident behind us. Being a foster parent can be challenging, but I will be doing everything I can to learn from this situation and be a better mother moving forward. Editor's note: comments were heavily mixed on this post as well. Top comment: Basic, regret 6263. IDK, I think she might be lying a bit about her parents being the motivation here, and not the boy. Also, are you sure your daughter has forgiven her, and not just lost confidence in your ability/desire to protect her from Mary? What are you doing to protect your daughter if Mary tries something like this again? Second most upvoted comment: ill-tempered old woman. Be sure your daughter truly does feel safe with a person who lied and tried to get her in so much trouble out of jealousy. You weren't punishing Mary for something she didn't do. It was a terrible, terrible thing she did that even now could have lifelong consequences for your relationship with your daughter. By that I mean your daughter never trusting you to have her back ever again, or feeling like she has to forgive this terrible betrayal that Mary did. I'm sorry, but in your daughter's place, I would just quietly stop trusting the both of you. I would be nice and even laugh and have fun with you both occasionally, but I would just quietly not forgive you. I would not feel like I could be safe with you, even though you were my mother, even after Mary left.
Story 2. I know my GF is not telling the truth about going to yoga classes. Sorry for the English, not my first language. Okay, I am hoping that someone will just tell me I am stressing out about nothing. Short background story. Me, male 28, living together with my GF, female 28, for about a year or so, together for 4. We both have a good relationship and nothing out of the ordinary. I work at a delivery company that does express deliveries all over the province I live in. Because we have express shifts, we have to take a delivery van home every day. We can also use this van for private trips. The company sometimes has to deliver very expensive goods. Therefore, the vans are equipped with a GPS tracker that can locate the van at any given time. A few months ago, my GF started taking yoga classes in the evening. So when we both got back from work, we would eat, and in case I was not on express shift, she could take the van to her yoga class. We live very close to a border. Europe has open borders, yay, but we can only go to other countries with permission of the company. It's an insurance thing as far as I understand. Last week, my supervisor told me that in 9 cases my van was in the neighboring country in the evening without permission. This was very odd because she told me where she had the yoga classes, and this was definitely not out of the country. I knew I couldn't go out of the country, so I am sure I didn't. I didn't tell my supervisor about the yoga thing, but I asked him for the exact location so I could take a look at it. What I found out was all the 9 times were exactly the time she had taken the van. Retracing WhatsApp times from the on my way to the time of departure are a match. I got home that day and decided I was not going to ask her up front. However, I did ask her where she had the yoga classes, and she said the same place as last time. So she is basically denying that she was in another country. During the evening, I made up a bullshit story that a co-worker got in trouble for driving over the border without permission. She seemed a bit shocked or somewhat, but did not give any ordinary response or anything. The address I have is just a parking spot in some neighborhoods. I drove there last night with my private car to see if I could find anything, but it's just houses and a park. A quick Google search shows no yoga things anywhere around. I could follow her the next time she has yoga class, just to see where she's going and then confront her afterwards. Or should I just tell her right now? This is all really stressing me out at the moment. Any advice would be great. Edit. Holy shit, this exploded. I will check your answers ASAP. Edit 2. I will give an update as soon as I have confronted her. This will only be possible on Friday, night shifts, etc. I've read all your comments, and I would like to highlight/clarify some of those. In my country, a car is either insured or it's not. Anyone can drive it as long as there is insurance on the car. There are a few scenarios which I can find in the comments. I know I am hoping it's not cheating, but I think that is the most obvious. She has used some drugs in the past, recreational, but has not done this anymore for a long time. I would highly doubt she would hide it from me if she was using drugs, since she told me about her drug past in the very beginning of the relationship, and she is very open about it. She also doesn't look any different as normal. This also makes me think that smuggling across the border is highly unlikely. I know everybody is telling me not to be a detective, but I want to confront her face to face, which is only possible on Friday. In the meantime, I have been doing some detective work to kill time. What I have found out is that she has 2 girls in her Facebook friends list that live in this village where she has been going. I do not know them, nor has she ever spoken to me about them. I managed to pinpoint the exact address of one of these girls, and they pretty much match with the location the GPS pointed out. Don't worry, I will not go there. I can just use this if she would deny anything. I will give an update as soon as I have confronted her. Update. Sorry for the late update, but I needed some time to think things through. She got home on Friday, and I confronted her with the fact that the van had been abroad without permission and that it had to be her that was driving there. She straight up said she indeed went abroad, but she didn't know I could get in trouble for it. I asked her to explain why she was lying about going there. She decided to do yoga because she has had some back issues from her past. However, she knew a girl, the one abroad in her Facebook, that was all spiritual and could heal her by doing a few sessions at her home. She knows I think this is bullshit, so she decided to tell me that she was going for yoga classes, but instead went to this spiritual girl. I was kind of confused because I expected something entirely different to be going on. I was also having trouble believing her. She insisted I went with her on Saturday to see that nothing weird was going on. So I did. This girl did some weird meditation, drew some cards, and did some other witchcraft shit. My GF then had to pay 45 euros for this. I kept my cool, but to be honest, I am pissed off at this girl. The only thing she does is sell hope to desperate people. People with real issues that need to get real medical attention. Our way home was pretty awkward. I didn't know what to say. We talked yesterday, and I explained to her that I was angry because of the fact that she had to lie about something like this. She said she was afraid of my response and just wanted to see if this could help. I told her that she can do whatever she wants except lie about it. She promised me she would never do this again. I'm still really confused about all this. I think she is wasting money, and instead of throwing it at some freaky, which girl she could be investing it in things that would actually improve her back. On the other hand, I am glad she is not cheating. I was almost certain this had to be the case. Anyway, thanks for your responses. Great help. Relevant comments. Quebec, Quebec. If she felt the need to lie about this because of how you'd react, maybe you need to consider your general reactions? Sounds like she was afraid of your judgment, and the phrase freaky witch girl seems to corroborate that. OP. I think I know why she was scared of my reaction. We have a big group of friends which we have known for ages, and we discuss a lot of things in this group when we are all together. There are a few dumb asses in this group who tend to believe everything about anything. I'm talking flat earth, chemtrails, steel beams, and hoaxing a moon landing. When these discussions take place, we disagree with each other, and things can get very heated. Even though we don't agree, we are still very good friends after these discussions. I'm almost 100% certain we probably once talked about mediums, alternate medicine, etc. She has probably heard what I said about it and thinks I would never approve it. Shown. Definitely not the usual conclusion to this sort of story. This is true, but certainly more hopeful than the usual conclusion. A bit of advice, OP. If your girl is in pain, physically or otherwise, let her figure it out as she must. She's got junk to sort through. Long-term pain is never simple. And while you may not understand why she feels she needs to follow a particular path, please respect it. She has probably tried many conventional solutions that failed her, and may be highly discouraged. If she comes to hurt herself or others, obviously that is unacceptable, but chronic pain of any sort makes the sufferer question everything they have ever come to know about themselves and the world. There is a powerlessness to unpredictable or constant pain that is highly damaging. Let her talk when she wants to. Let her explore things that give her hope and make her feel powerful. Try to withhold judgment. This money could go towards something better until she has seen it through as she must and draws her own conclusions. Once she does, reevaluate what you can live with and what is a divergence of values. You may come to find that there is ultimately no problem. Just the 2 cents of a former chronic sufferer who followed a similar path came to recognize it for what it was and is doing much better now. Edited to add, lots and lots of chronic pain warriors replying in the comments below. It's sobering to remember how many different ways a person can suffer. My heart goes out to you all. I hope you all might find peace and relief. OP. I told her as well that she needs to do what she thinks is best for her, even though I might never choose this option. I was very confused when she told me, but this seems to put my mind at ease a bit more.